Hey guys, we are back with another Nintendo repair. This time it's a Playchoice 10 from Jason Solecki, and he was complaining of some problems here. Actually, what you'll see in a moment, let me see if I can get this to select a game. I have two games in here. I have Baseball, I believe, and Excite Bike. And the menu and all that kind of stuff displays okay. And I think it's when you actually go to play the game that nothing happens here. So I think I've selected baseball based on what I'm reading here. Yep, baseball, swing the bat, press A, and all that good stuff. So we'll let it go through. And I think what's happening is right when it starts the game itself, it kind of goes all black, or you kind of get some weird graphics, and that's about it. It'll do that for a while, and it'll time out and basically reset. There we go. So it just went black. So the way this works is there's several CPUs on here. One is the Z80, which drives the controls to everything else, and also it displays the menu to let you choose the game or whatever. When the player selects a game and then it decides to play, it turns control over to this guy, and this is the RP2A03. This is the generic chip that's in like every if you guys own an NES, classic NES, that's the brains inside the NES. It's also the chip on, say, like a Punch-Out that drives the music and that kind of stuff. And so it's very common with a lot of Nintendo games out there. And anyway, so that's what happens. The Z80 controls the menu. When you choose your game, kicks this guy off, and he in turn will start reading the ROMs based on the game you select. So that kind of narrows it down. I mean, we're getting a menu, and those kind of things are getting displayed properly. But the game itself is not playing, and so I'm guessing it's got to have something to do with either this guy itself or the controls to that guy. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can force this into a gameplay mode, because otherwise I have to wait for the menu to constantly select this CPU to actually see some activity. I believe when the menu is up, this is just held in a constant reset, and that's no good. I got to be able to probe the thing and kind of see what's going on. So luckily I have this guy, and so I can stick my Z80 pod on there and let it run through the menu sequence, and then once it turns control over to this guy, freeze it, and this guy will just continue to own the show, and he can, or run the show rather, and he can drive it. So let me start with that, and we'll see if we can figure out what's going on over here. So I'm starting to probe around this guy here, and sure enough I'm seeing something that's a little off. So there's an IRQ input to this guy, which basically tells the CPU to handle an interrupt. And I believe it's pin 32, so let's count back: 40, 39, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and that guy is pulled low all the time. And it should be periodically pulsing low, but this guy's pulled low all the time. Looking at the schematic, it comes from, looks like this guy right here, which is, let's see, 4L pin 11, which is right over here. So 8, 9, 10, 11. Now this guy's high. So that doesn't make sense, because this guy is high and this guy over here is low. And so, I lifted the board up to see, if there's something weird going on, and sure enough, what do we see? A bunch of hackery here. I don't know if you can see this, but right there, it looked like the board got scratched, and somebody tried to, there's a mess of traces right here that probably got affected due to that, and so somebody tried to, correct that by running traces all the way up and down the board. However, just by eyeballing it, I can see that 32 is right here, and rather than end up at 4L, which is right around this area here, it just keeps going all the way down and ends up getting tied to some junk down here. And so it could just be that whoever tried to patch this did it incorrectly. I'm not sure, but I think what I'll do is just trace these out individually, because maybe some of these are correct, who knows, and just figure out which ones are not, and then try to correct them. But that's definitely a problem. I mean, if this guy is just constantly getting hammered with interrupt requests, then it's not going to do anything. So let me work through that mess, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so basically what I did was pull all of that junk off. I mean, actually, it was very neat work, I should say, but they were all wrong, I think, with the exception of one, maybe two traces. And so kudos on the attempt, but I think they, I don't know, maybe they just lost track. There was quite a bit of congestion with all the traces going under the board, and so it was very easy to get lost. And so I probed them out, I ohmed them out with my ohm meter, and realized that almost all of them were wrong, and so I just pulled them all off and redid them all. Anyway, everything on this side kind of flows down underneath the PCB in that direction, and that's where that big scrape was. And so just for sanity check, I just traced every single one of these out, make sure they were all okay. And we are back. And so this is baseball. Well, of course, it goes back to the main menu right as I say that. But that's okay. Maybe I can actually get it started here. Let me play with this. There we go. And then we'll choose baseball here. Okay. There we go. That's what we want to see. And likewise, we'll let it play through and get to Excite Bike, which is the second game in the mix here. There we go. Excite Bike, one of my all-time favorite Nintendo games. So yeah, I think we are good to go. Just a kind of a messy rework there, but got that all hashed out. And this one is all set. So very cool. And take care. We'll catch you on the next one. Alrighty, everybody. Let me do that again. Alrighty, here we are with another Nintendo repair. This one actually is a Playchoice